The rain-slicked alley behind the gallery reeked of wet concrete and regret when Julius whispered those words into my ear. His breath hot against my skin like a promise he never meant to keep. "It's just for fun, Nate. Nothing more," he said, his fingers tracing lazy circles on my chest as if that could erase the doubt clawing at my gut. But I saw it in his eyes then, that flicker of something wilder, untamed, aimed not at me but at the boy across the room, the one with the sharp jaw and sketches that bled color like open wounds. That night, I lay awake in our Brooklyn walk-up, the city humming its indifferent lullaby outside our fire escape, replaying every stolen glance Julius had thrown Nathaniel's way during the open studio critique. Julius, my Julius, the man who dragged me out of the closet with his reckless laugh and paint-streaked hands, now orbiting some wide-eyed undergrad like a moth to a brighter flame. By morning, the hurt had hardened into resolve. If he wanted to play the game, I'd rewrite the rules. I'd partner with Nathaniel myself, not to spite, but to salvage whatever fragments of inspiration were left in the wreckage. I'm Nathaniel Hayes. No, wait, that's the kid's name. I'm Elias Crow, adjunct professor of visual arts at NYU, 37 years old, and the fool who thought love could be as straightforward as a charcoal sketch. Julius and I had met 5 years back at a queer art collective in Chelsea, back when his installations, those chaotic assemblages of recycled junk turned into queer manifestos, still felt like rebellion rather than routine. He was the firecracker, all blonde curls and baritone drawl from his Georgia roots, transplanted to the concrete jungle like he'd been born to disrupt it. I was the steady hand, the one who framed his chaos into something galleries would pay for. We balanced, or so I told myself, until his latest whim, mentoring a group of MFA students on a collaborative project called Echoes of Desire. It was supposed to be about vulnerability in art, about peeling back layers until you hit bone. Nathaniel Kim entered the picture like a glitch in the canvas. 24, Korean-American, with ink-black hair that fell just so over eyes that saw too much. His portfolio was a gut punch. Portraits of immigrant families fractured by silence, lovers caught in mid-argument under fluorescent bodega lights, all rendered in hyper-saturated oils that screamed New York grit. Julius spotted him first, during the initial mixer at a Soho loft, and couldn't shut up about it. "That kid's got it, Eli, the raw nerve. He's like if Basquiat and Ai Weiwei had a love child raised in Flushing." I nodded, sipped my gin and tonic, ignored the way Julius's knee lingered against Nathaniel's under the communal table. First, it was innocent enough. Julius volunteered to co-lead the mentorship, pulling me in because, "We're a team, babe." We'd host late-night sessions in our loft, wine flowing, critiques turning into confessions. The students bared their souls. Queer kids from the Midwest grappling with family disownments, trans artists reimagining their bodies on canvas. Nathaniel was the quiet storm among them, his voice soft but his work thunderous. One evening, as the group dispersed into the humid August night, he lingered by Julius's latest piece, a towering sculpture of intertwined metal lovers, one arm raised in defiance, the other in surrender. "It's you too, isn't it?" Nathaniel asked, his fingers hovering over the weld marks. Julius grinned, that boyish flash of teeth that used to undo me. "Nah, it's everyone we've ever loved and lost. But yeah, maybe a little us." I watched from the kitchenette, pouring out the dregs of a Merlot, feeling like an extra in my own life. Julius waved it off later, in bed, his body warm and familiar against mine. "He's just inspired, Eli. The kid's got fire. Reminds me why I started this shit. Inspired." The word lodged in my throat like a bad oyster. By the next session, Julius was sketching side by side with Nathaniel, their heads bent close over a shared drafting table, laughter bubbling up like they shared some secret shorthand. I facilitated from the edges, praising line work, suggesting contrasts, but the air crackled with something unspoken. One night, after everyone left, I found a half-finished drawing tucked under a drop cloth. Nathaniel's hand, rendered in Julius's bold strokes, fingers splayed as if reaching for something just out of frame. That's when the doubt metastasized. I started noticing the texts. Late-night pings Julius would silence with a sheepish smile. Just bouncing ideas, he'd say. But his phone stayed face down more often than not. Our mornings, once lazy tangles of coffee and kisses, turned terse. He'd bolt for studio time, leaving me to grade papers in the hollow echo of our loft. The betrayal wasn't a thunderclap. It was erosion, slow and insidious, wearing down the foundations I'd built with him. So I did the unthinkable. At the next critique, with the group circled in our living room like conspirators, I announced it. Nathaniel, I'd like to partner with you on the final installation. Your series on unspoken longings, it's got bones. Let's build on that. The room went still. Julius's fork paused midair over his takeout lo mein, his blue eyes narrowing like storm clouds rolling in off the East River. Nathaniel blinked, those dark eyes flicking between us, surprise mingling with something sharper. Curiosity? Relief? Me? With you, Professor Crow? I mean, yeah, that'd be incredible. Julius recovered with a chuckle that didn't reach his eyes. Bold move, Eli. Stealing my protege. He said it light, but the edge was there, a scalpel under silk. The group tittered, oblivious, but I felt the shift, like the first crack in a glacier. Later, alone in the bathroom, Julius cornered me, his hands on my hips, voice low and urgent. What the hell was that? It's just for fun. Remember? The mentorship gig. I met his gaze in the fogged mirror, my reflection pale and resolute. Fun's over, Jules. If he's your inspiration, maybe he can be mine too. The partnership with Nathaniel started tentatively, like two strangers testing the ice on a frozen pond. We met in my cramped office on campus, the one overlooking Washington Square Park where buskers strummed Dylan covers and tourists snapped selfies with the arch. He arrived early, sketchbook under arm, wearing a faded Ramones tee that hung loose on his lean frame. I didn't want to step on toes, he said, settling into the worn armchair, his accent a soft Queen's lilt. Julius talks about you like you're the sun. Steady? You know? I laughed, bitter as black coffee. Steady's code for boring. We dove in anyway, mapping out his installation. A series of translucent screens etched with silhouettes of hands, reaching, recoiling, intertwining, backlit to cast shadows that danced like ghosts. It was his concept, raw and aching, born from watching his parents' marriage splinter under the weight of cultural silences. They never said the words, he confessed one afternoon, as rain lashed the windows. Dad came out too late after Mom left. Now it's just echoes. His vulnerability cracked something in me. For the first time in months, art felt alive again, not Julius's bombast, but this quiet excavation. We worked late, ordering falafel from the halal cart on the corner, debating shadow depths over steaming pitas. Nathaniel listened, really listened, his questions probing without presumption. What's the betrayal look like for you? He asked once, charcoal smudging his fingers as he sketched. I hesitated, the words sticking like tar. Like handing your heart to someone and watching them use it as a paperweight. As weeks blurred into October's crisp bite, the line between mentor and confidant blurred too. Not in some illicit way, no, nothing so tawdry, but in the shared silences, the way his laugh cut through my cynicism like sunlight through smog. Julius noticed, of course. He'd show up unannounced at my office, bearing bagels from Essa Bagel, his smile strained. How's the prodigy treating you? He'd quip, but his eyes scanned Nathaniel's latest proofs like they held state secrets. One evening, as Nathaniel packed up, Julius lingered, clapping him on the shoulder a beat too long. Proud of you, kid. This is gold. Nathaniel flushed, mumbled thanks, and bolted into the twilight. That night, the dam broke. Julius and I were in the kitchen, the loft's exposed brick walls closing in like judgmental ancestors. He'd been drinking whiskey neat, his Georgia drawl thickening with each pour. You're really doing this, huh? Partnering up with him. What's next, Eli? Adopting his aesthetic. His words slurred, but the accusation landed sharp. I set down my wineglass, the stem clinking like a gavel. You did it first, Jules. Flirting with inspiration while I fade into the background. He recoiled as if slapped, then surged forward, face inches from mine. Flirting? Jesus, Eli, it's art. It's connection. Not some betrayal plot from your goddamn rom-coms. But his voice cracked, and there it was. The truth spilling out like overfilled paint. Okay, fine. Maybe I leaned in too hard. He's electric. Reminds me of us, before we got so safe. Safe. The word hung between us, a guillotine blade. I thought of our early days. Fucking on gallery floors, shouting manifestos at dawn. But now? We were mortgages and mutual funds. His sculptures gathering dust while I chased tenure. The fight escalated, voices echoing off the high ceilings, until Julius hurled his glass against the wall. It shattered in a spray of amber shards, mirroring the fracture in us. You think I don't love you? This is killing me, Eli. Watching you light up for him the way you used to for me. Tears tracked down his stubbled cheeks, and for a moment, I saw the boy I'd fallen for, vulnerable under the bravado. But the hurt was a live wire, sparking. Then why does it feel like you're already gone? Nathaniel's installation premiered on a biting November night in the NYU gallery. The space transformed into a labyrinth of light and shadow. Dozens milled about, students in ironic thrift finds, faculty in tweed, collectors sniffing for the next big thing. His screens glowed ethereal, hands frozen in eternal almost touches, the projections flickering stories of longing unfulfilled. Julius arrived late, coat dusted with sleet, his presence a magnetic pull. He beelined for Nathaniel, enveloping him in a hug that lingered, whispering praise that carried over the murmur. I stood apart, nursing a plastic cup of Chardonnay, the acclaim a hollow echo. Then the climax hit, swift as a subway gust. As the crowd thinned, Julius pulled me into the alcove behind the main piece, his hands framing my face. Eli, I fucked up. It's always been you, the steady, the real. Nathaniel's a spark, but you're the fire. His kiss was desperate, tasting of whiskey and redemption. But I pulled back, the gallery's hum fading to a roar in my ears. Too late, Jules. You said it was just for fun. Now I'm having my own. Nathaniel found us there, his eyes widening at the tableau. No accusations, just a quiet nod, as if he'd known all along. In the weeks that followed, Julius and I unraveled with surgical precision. Dividing bookshelves, untangling finances, the loft emptying like a half-erased canvas. He moved to a sublet in Williamsburg, chasing solo shows. I stayed, reclaiming the space with potted ferns and silence. Nathaniel graduated with honors, his work landing a residency in Berlin. We parted as allies, not lovers. His hand on my shoulder a gentle echo of what might have been. Betrayal's sting fades, but its lessons scar deep. In the quiet of my rebooted life, lectures by day, solitary sketches by night, I find a humanism Julius never taught me. Self-love isn't borrowed. It's forged in the forge of fracture. Last week, a postcard arrived from Berlin. A silhouette hand reaching toward a skyline, Nathaniel's scrawl beneath. Thanks for the echo, Professor. Keep steady. I pinned it by my desk next to Julius's old sketch, the one of us intertwined and defiant. And in the city's relentless pulse, I breathe easier. Love isn't a zero-sum game. It's the art of letting go, so the light can find its way back in.